or summary of a constitution with or without constitutionalism, the path of constitutional development in China. Number 1. Introduction. It is commonly understood that the enactment of law is not to be confused with the rule of law, and that having a constitution is not the same thing as making it work. Mainland China exemplifies this conventional wisdom. Over the past 3 decades since the institution of the economic and legal reform in 1978, Chinese lawmakers at all levels have enacted a variety of law and regulation, yet the country it is grappling with the application of this law, the reality for the current Chinese constitution enacted in 182. The disparity between words and deeds is even greater for a simple reason. Although courts and even though the courts have entertained administrative administrative litigation against official since 1990. Number 2. Why an uniform constitution still may be useful. A. The constitution is dead. Some of these ambiguities become clearer with a historical glance backward. It was reported that the Emperor Qing of Han 156 to 140 BC also repealed cruel corporal punishment and replaced death with flogging. Had this measure be faithfully implemented, China would have been the first nation in the world that come close to abolishing cruel and unusual punishment, yet the apparently benevolent edicts resulted in even more deaths because the officer enforcing the edicts opposed their power in carrying out the flogging. This situation was abandoned only after the emperor reduced the number of flogging for each individual crime, defined the size and shape of the bamboo whips in detail, and provided a change of person charged with carrying out acts at fortune. Not every tips of law enforcement text can be narrowed down to bamboo seeds. However, and the ambiguous and vagueness inherent in any law had provided the enforcement officer ample opportunities to misuse their discretion, producing even contrary to one the letter of the law both dictate the duality of law and its relevant consequences is aptly captured by the term Latin lerus, rulers, can quiz, namely the rulers operating in reality as opposed to rulers laid out in law books. The omnipresence of these Latin rulers has perplexed science not only throughout its long dynastic periods but also during the legal reform of the past decades. B. Long live the Constitution. For several reasons of uniform constitution can still serve an useful purpose in protecting the people's rights and interests. First and fundamentally, most governments care about their own image, and authoritarian governments are not exception. In fact, the outward image is all the more important to an authoritarian government, precisely because in large and cannot in large democratic legitimacy and as a basis for the confident exchange of power. This is especially the case where democracy is purportedly a vital part of its own ideology. An elected president may not care that much, though he does care necessarily about his popularity rating sliding below 50%. However, in an authoritarian state long used to polling number indicating well over 90% support, such a deadline would amount to a sufficient cause for revolution.
3. The case of Xi Yuling v. Chen Xiaoqi et al. Has now become a desolate milestone in the constitutional history of China. 28 in 1990, she passed the professional examination for entrance to a specialized profession or Zhongzuan and was admitted by Jining Commercial School. Her admission letter was stolen by her classmate Chen, who then studied under her name and went on to get a decent job in a bank upon graduation. She found out the whole plot only 10 years later, during which time She suffered hardship in finding good job, owing to her lack of technical education. After she broke the legation, the middle level court of Tenzhou, Shandong province, ordered the defense to pay 35,000 yuan for the mental damage caused by infringing Xi's right to her name, but declined to provide a remedy for the alleged violation of her right to education. Profit for under Article 46 of the 1982 Constitution. B. Ended. In recent years, there have been several incidents in which the plaintiff have won but in and out of court. Although no decision has been made on constitutional ground. In that the rise and fall of the Xiyuling decision can be understood properly only in the broader context of judicial reform, which the former SPC President Xiaoyang intention in 1999.36 undertaking to make China's checks in a real sense. This ambitious reform aimed to professionalize the heritage to policed court, and it did manage to modify the judicial image somewhat. From army uniform and start apart to golf and black counted. However, it failed to change the judge's basic thinking and more fundamentally the power structure, but within and outside the court, particularly the relationship between the court and the ruling party. Just the judges are under the leadership of their court president, the president is under the leadership of party, making the judicial structure was well prone to political interference. Number 4. The emergence of populist constitutionalism, the Sanjikang incident and its legacy. A. The tragedy and its immediate institutional impact. In March 2003, when China and the rest of the world were grappling with the SARS crisis, a personal tragedy struck Guangzhou and eventually triggered a public outcry against the act-out system for treating the migrant population in China's cities. Shen Jikang, a 27 years old graduate from the Wuhan Science and Technology College, or Hebei Province, came to work as a fashion designer in that economically booming city. On the night of March 17, he went to visit an internet cafe as usual, without bringing his temporary resident permit as an identification document. He was detained mistakenly by police and illegal immigrants to the city and was brought to the Guangzhou Detention and Reparation Transfer Center. Apparently, having quarreled with the management personnel about his treatment, he was battered by fellow inmates and died a few days later. The medical record in the official report asserted that he died of heart attack and a cardiovascular accident, a claim believed by the autopsy report that displayed massive bruises on his back. For over a month following, despite strenuous effort by sons, relatives, and friends, the Guangzhou City Police refused to explain the true cause of San's death. B. Significance and legacies. The Sanjigang incident did more than an notorious system, which had arbitrarily limited personal freedom, particularly that of the peasants who constitute the overwhelming majority of this populous country. It triggered a series of civil rights movements that resulted in or had a significant impact on a number of important legal and institutional reforms in China. These include ongoing reform of the household residence system, the education, church, labor program, criminal justice and capital punishment, and land taking and city renovation project that involve the compulsory demolition or Gyeongji Chakian of resident house. Indeed, most of this event can be characterized as the progeny, as it were, of the Sanjigang model. Since they share, in essence, the same project that triggered the resolution of the Sanjigang incident. The model involves three consecutive steps. First, an institutionally caused tragedy is reported by the media. Next, the report triggered mounting public reaction. And finally, the central government, apparently shocked and out of fear that further development could tarnish its image and governing legitimacy, decided to an action necessary for resolving the war cause. The Sanjigang incident did more than an unauthorized system, which had arbitrarily limited personal freedom, particularly that of the peasant, who constitute the overwhelming majority of this populous country. It triggered a series of civil rights movements that resulted in or had a significant impact on a number of important legal and institutional reforms in China.
The emergency of populist constitutionalists, the Sun-Shiking incident and its legacy. E. The tragedy and its immediate institutional impact. In March 2003, when China and the rest of the world were grappling with the CERS crisis, a personal tragedy struck Jiangsu and eventually triggered a public outcry against the old system for treating the migrant population in Chinese cities. Sun Zhijiang, a 27-year-old graduate from the Wuhan Science and Technology College, Hebei Province, came to work as a fashion designer in the economically booming city. On the night of March 17, he went to visit an internet cafe as usual without bringing his temporary residence permit as an identification document. He was detained mistakenly by police as an illegal immigrant to the city and was brought to the Jiangsu Detention and Repatriation Transfer Center. Very recently, a new and more promising trend of public participation has emerged in China, in which the citizens play more active roles in occasionally national policy making. Among three of the examples stated here, two are environmental action initiated by local residents against local decisions that might seriously affect their health and safety. The other is an equal protection action taken by a group of hepatitis B virus carriers loosely organized on the internet against discriminatory administrative policy and local practice. As mentioned above, a victim of discrimination did win a favorable court decision, which further promotes the central government to eliminate the discrimination against hepatitis B virus carriers in the civil service, although it stopped short of putting an end to hepatitis B discrimination. In general, in college admission, for example, examinations were still required to undertake health examination, among which a check for the hepatitis B was one item. A positive test result constituted sufficient ground for rejection. Number 6. Conclusions. The future of popular constitutionalism. The case of China also illustrates the limitation in the popular constitutionalist argument. Normatively, no doubt the people are the ultimate authority from which the government derives its powers, which are to be exercised solely in the people's interest. The failure to do so is explained by folly lying somewhere in the constitutional framework through which the people participates in government. However, this argument is too general to provide a useful answer to the key question: exactly how do the how do the people raise their rights and liberty? Judicial review in itself is insufficient without popular support, yet it is not still and imports concrete mechanism by which the people protects their right against government abrogation, as mentioned pointed out or out over 2 millennia ago. Laws cannot carry themselves into effect, and this is precisely why we need a government morally and institutionally bound to execute the law faithfully. The few successes, such as the San Zhejiang case, the 10,000 incident, the Xiamen collective work, when measured against the far greater number of failures in China daily published life, illustrates that the struggle for right can be a battle up an extremely steep hill without adequate institutional support. Although the people are the finally moving force behind all good causes, they do not achieve any of these objectives in anarchic protest. Rather, protest, demonstration, and other ways of expressing and vindication their interests needs to be protected through effective institutional arrangement as the period elections of official freedom to form political group combating for the support of constitution, check and balance among the various sets of powers, and judicial review by impartial tribunals. Far from challenging the people's political and constitutional supremacy, this institution frame the context that awards give popular participation some concrete substance and effect within the constitutional order. That's it from your group. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.